hold demonstrations in Nairobi petitioning the release of Uganda's opposition figure, Dr. Kizza Besigye. Todonyang killings in Turkana raise questions over government's security preparedness along Kenya's borderlines. We'd love to hear from you tonight. Reach us out on our Facebook page and as well as YouTube, where we are streaming this broadcast live. Our SMS feedback line is 23059. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Laura Omondi. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. In what could signal a possible handshake, President William Ruto has confirmed that he will work with the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to achieve the government's development agenda. The two leaders' political dalliance has been in the offing after the formation of a broad-based government last year, a joint leadership between the government and the opposition. Ruto further lauded Odinga for his grit during the AUC race, asserting that Kenya has never staged a more qualified candidate in a continental contest.
That require our collective effort. As an administration that is now broad-based, there is every reason for us to accelerate the momentum for the delivery of the things that will transform our nation. And I must be grateful that the necessary political capital that is required to move transformative programs in our country now exists courtesy of the broad-based government, and we will continue to focus on developing the things, the programs, and the policies that will catapult our country to the next level. And we need all hands on deck to be able to achieve this vision and mission. And therefore, this afternoon, let me proudly say, my good brother Raila Odinga, you represented Kenya very well. We had, I must say this, I have supported many people in the past, but we had a fantastic candidate. He was present, he was available, and he did what needed to be done. So to all of you and to the people of Kenya, it is again a proud moment for us to receive you back home and to engage with you as we drive the development of our country, as we engage in the nation-building exercise, and as we broaden and widen our engagement.
Raila Odinga has finally addressed the funding question on the African Union Commission chairperson campaign trail, saying the government did not spend 13 billion shillings, as had been alleged by Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi. Odinga also reiterated the government's commitment for supporting his bid, saying he volunteered to vie for that position.
Now myself that I was going to run for this position of chair of African Union Commission. And he only came after I made the announcement to say that he was supporting my candidature. And he did support my candidature not just by words, but by deeds. He put up the machinery to help the campaign for me. I've seen billions being said, quoted, somebody's talking about 13 billion shillings spent on the RAILA campaign. I don't know which world those guys live on, whether they know what a billion means. A billion shillings to do what? The money that was spent was the money that was necessary just to hire transport to travel around. And we were not living luxuriously. We were eating whatever was given to us wherever we went to. and many other African countries were very generous. They provided us accommodation and so on. So, but the government gave what was required. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs was available 24/7, and the other government departments to make appointment for me to be able to meet the leadership across the continent. So I want to thank my brother very profusely for this support.
The family of former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati has confirmed that the late died of a cancerous brain tumor that was recurrent. His family on Monday confirmed to the press that when he was diagnosed with the tumor, he was taken to Germany where he underwent a surgery to remove it. The family will now conduct a post-mortem examination on his body, awaiting his burial, slated for March 8, 2025 at his Kitale home.
He was in hospital from mid-December up to early January this year. When he was discharged, he came back home as the families considered whether to explore possibilities, and as they consulted widely with the doctors and experts, whether it was necessary to undergo a third operation or what other advice would be there in terms of managing that condition. So he went back to hospital on the 12th of February for bi-monthly routine checkup so that the doctors could assess the situation and advise him. When he went back to hospital on the 12th of February, the doctors were of the view that he needed to be admitted. He had some problems with his chest. So he was admitted on 12th. He was in hospital. On the 15th of February, he was taken to the ICU. He was in the ICU from the 15th to the 20th of February, when the family received a call after midnight indicating that the late Wafula Chebukati had suffered a cardiac arrest. Now, keeping good records for posterity, his grandchildren and anybody else, the family is still considering a postmortem.
At least 13 organizations held protests in Nairobi on Monday, demanding the release of Ugandan opposition Kizza Besigye from police custody in Uganda after an unwarranted detention. The protesters marched to parliament buildings, while another marched to the Ugandan High Commission to petition officials there. Police authorities had mobilized and deployed dozens of anti-riot police ahead of the planned protest. The anti-riot team was Friday positioned at, among others, the Ugandan Embassy, residence and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters in Nairobi, as well as outside State House.
And Haj Obeid Lutale in Nairobi, Kenya, adds to the growing and worrying trend of transnational repression in Kenya, where foreign critics from countries including Ethiopia, South Sudan, Tanzania, Turkey, and Uganda have been abducted in Kenya. That on January 31st, 2025, the Supreme Court of Uganda found that trying civilians in court-martials is unconstitutional and ordered that all charges or ongoing criminal trials or pending trials before the court-martial involving civilians must immediately cease and be transferred to the ordinary courts of law with competent jurisdiction. That even after the 31st January Supreme Court ruling that trying civilians in military court is unconstitutional, authorities in Uganda failed to immediately release Kizza Besigye, Haj Obeid Lutale, and lawyer Kizza Besigye, Aaron Kizza, a lawyer for the accused, who was on 7th January 2025 5 charged and convicted by military court for contempt of court, which is an infringement on the rights to personal liberty and fair trial under Uganda's constitutional and international human rights law. That the abduction and rendition of Kizza Besigye and Haji Obey Lutale blatantly violated international human rights law and the principle of extradition treaties. That on 20th February 2025, Uganda police opened charges, and these are new charges, against Kizza Besigye, Haji Obey Lutale, and Dennis Oula.
We would like also to say this, that the transfer of Kizza Besigye and Haji Obey Lutale to civilian courts is a continuation of a process begun through abduction and rendition, which are unlawful under international law. And as such, any trial that follows these illegal transfer amounts to a continuation of an unlawful process. That Kizza Besigye's health has seriously deteriorated after more than a week on hunger strike to protest his detention.
Now to some dramatic scenes in Nairobi, where Kenya Power staff were stranded for the better part of Monday morning after a Nairobi County garbage truck disposed trash at Stima Plaza entrance. Reports indicate that the two parties have differed over more than 3 billion shillings power bill owed by the county government. Rosemary Oduor, Kenya Power's General Manager for Commercial and Sales, says the two parties had agreed to relook at the bills and the verification and reconciliation process is almost over. Sources at the building have told the media that working in the building has become uncomfortable owing to the stench from the garbage.
This morning we have had our workplace going on, and then all of a sudden we realized there were county government trucks with garbage, and one of them came and dropped the garbage right in front of our commercial office at Stima Plaza. Several other trucks with garbage are also still on standby around the building. This necessitated the staff to move out of the building because of the stench of the garbage. In addition, we have had some unfortunate incidences of disconnection of water and a blockage of the sewer lines, not just here at Stima Plaza, but in our other offices within Nairobi County. This makes us not able to continue offering services to Kenyans on this morning. We have had a long-standing issue with Nairobi County in regard to payment of their bills. We offer a service, an electricity service, and we expect that once we offer the service, we bill for the supply and the customers pay us back. Nairobi City County over time has continued to raise issue with their bills, and we have had discussions. Over the last 2 years, we went to a process together with them to look at their dispute. And our team, together with their team, went out to verify the supplies, to verify the bills, and the process is just near completion. So we had an arrangement with them. We agreed at the end of last year. We sat together and we agreed that the bills that have been reconciled so far, they would start paying. They made a commitment that they would start paying from the month of November. But since that time, they have not met their end of their bargain. We have written reminders to them without response. And last week, we went ahead and disabled the supply at their installations because of unpaid bills. Remember that bills paid to Kenya Power is revenue that serves the entire energy sector. We collect revenue on behalf of the generators, on behalf of the transmitters, on behalf of the entire sector, even the regulator. And then the revenue is distributed according to the tariff. So having bills that are unpaid renders a dent to the energy sector, and this is not acceptable.
Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi has blasted Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, asking him to leave the Lake region alone, saying they've had enough of being in the opposition and not in government. Wandayi further demanded that Kalonzo Musyoka should pick a side, either broad-based coalition or the Wamunyoro coalition, led by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
And I want to tell Kalonzo Musyoka to please leave us alone. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, please leave us alone. We are still hurting as a people. This idea that every now and then, before elections, people run to RAILA ODINGA. That he is a good man, he must save Kenya, he must fight for Kenya, and when the time comes for elections, they sabotage him. They sabotage him. So we have made a conscious decision to work with President William Ruto. So Kalonzo Musyoka and your ilk, please leave us alone. But more importantly, as a people, we have made a conscious decision. And as things stand, there are only two formations, two political formations going forward. Either you are with the broad-based coalition that I belong to, or you are with the Wamunyoro coalition. There are no two ways. There's no third way. Two. You are either with us in the broad-based arrangement, or you are with Wamunyoro. So don't confuse us. So stop confusing us. Just declare where you stand, and then we decide how to handle you. There are vultures. There are political vultures who have fed on RAILA's political blood for far too long. These are the vultures who would always want to see Baba languishing on the streets. All the time. All the time. As they benefit politically. Those vultures, we must call you out. Because your time is up. And those vultures are not just out there. They're also here.
I'd love to know what you think about the Wamunyoro coalition. And, you know, this basically shapes now the political sector. As he says, there are two formations, the broad-based coalition, the Wamunyoro coalition, and of course the people who are largely termed as the Gen Z. So what are your thoughts about that and what this means for the Kenyan people and the Kenyan political landscape? Now, the Democratic Action Party of Kenya party leader, Eugene Wamalwa, has strongly criticized President William Ruto for failing to provide adequate protection to Kenyans, especially in the border areas in the country. These accusations come after horrific reports about the killing of unconfirmed number of Kenyan fishermen who have been killed by criminal gangs from neighboring Ethiopia. Wamalwa said this at the Muslim and Mupeli Primary School in Bungoma County while providing funding for school uniforms to disadvantaged students, where he has emphasized that this situation is dangerous for the safety of the people. Wamalwa has also warned that lack of protection in those areas endangers the lives of Kenyans and requires urgent action from the government. In addition, he has called on the government to increase efforts in strengthening cooperation with neighboring countries to deal with the international problem of crime, and has promised that his party will cooperate with the people in fighting for justice and security in those areas.
Ndugu zetu wa Turkana wamechinjwa kule Todonyang, zaidi ya watu 20-30 wameuawa na wale majirani wa Ethiopia. Sisi badala ya kulinda mipaka yetu na kulinda wananchi wa Kenya, tumechukua askari wetu wameenda Haiti kwenda kulinda watu wa Haiti, na wa Kenya Turkana wanauawa. So Bwana Ruto, where are your priorities? Wa Kenya wanauawa huko Nairobi, mnakaa na Janjaweed. Watu kutoka Sudan, rebels, Janjaweed ndio umeleta Nairobi badala ya kulinda usalama wa Kenya. So we are saying the priorities of this government are upside down, they are bottom up, and we are saying Kenyans must come together to say enough is enough, Ruto must go. Na tumekuja hapa ili kuweza kusaidiana na wazazi. Vile mnavyojua maisha yamekuwa magumu sana, haswa wakati huu wa zakayo na ushuru na gharama ya maisha kupanda, na Wakenya ambao wamefinyika sana. Na hii ni kwa kila mzazi, na sio tu wazazi, hata walimu pia, sababu ushuru umeendelea kupanda.
Waweza kununulia wanafunzi zaidi ya 150 zile sare ama uniform za shule. Sababu unaona wanafunzi wengi hawawezi kwenda shule sababu hawana uniform. Na tumekuwa katika shule moja ya Muslim primary. Mwalimu anasema tuna mwanafunzi ambaye alikuja kwa darasa, kumbe uniform yake ilikuwa imeraruka. Akimwamsha mwanafunzi aende ajibu kitu kwa blackboard, mwanafunzi hawezi amka. Katika shule nyingi unapata kuwa shule saa hizi haiwezi kufanya vizuri sababu ya mambo ya capitation. Serikali imepeana only 15% na inatakana ipeane 50%. So utapata kuwa wanafunzi wengi watakosa mambo fulani, walimu watakosa mambo fulani. So hii pesa ikija baada ile muda kufika haiwezi saidia shule na haitasaidia wazazi. So ningependa kuomba serikali ilete pesa capitation ili shule ziweze kufunction.
Wazazi wanalia, walimu pia wanalia, lakini walimu wakuu ndio wanalia zaidi. Capitation haipatikani, inachelewa and schools are struggling. Lakini ukiona walio juu wanachukua mabilioni ya pesa kuendelea kuunda State House, wanabadilisha hii, badala hizi pesa zije shuleni, capitation, ili shule ziwe properly run.
The University of Nairobi students have vowed to take to the streets to demonstrate following the dismissal of the chair of the University Council. Speaking at a press conference at the UON Lower Kabete campus, the students led by University President Rocha Madzao say they will take to the streets to get answers as to why Amukoa Anangwe was dismissed. Healthy conditions at their homes. Speaking at a maternal opening day at Dandelion Health and Maternity Center, attended by more than 100 expectant women and their spouses, she noted that Baringo was among 15 counties in Kenya with the highest maternal mortality.
So like today we are teaching our mothers on danger signs, nutrition in pregnancy, how to take care of their baby, having an individual birth plan, and how to take a postpartum family planning once they give birth. We are also engaging the men, but currently in our area, not so many men accompany the women in the hospital. Like we are getting, maybe out of 100 women, we can get only 3, but we are slowly engaging them because our man plays a bigger role in the pregnancy of a woman and also take the baby once the baby is born.
The women in this area are known to deliver at home. Now, Dandelion being a cross-border organization, a lot of our women who come to deliver at our maternity center are from Baringo County. Baringo County is among the 15 counties in the country with the highest maternal mortality. That is the reason why it is critical for us to have this maternal day. Number 1, to encourage women to deliver in health facilities. Number 2, to showcase what a state-of-the-art maternal center looks like. In this center, when you deliver, you go home with a package from a mosquito net to a basin, sanitary towels to diapers. You can get postpartum contraceptives. You get health education on how to breastfeed. You get follow-up from community health promoters who walk the journey with you until the baby is 5 years old. So looking at a more holistic approach towards maternal child health for us is critical.
Kenya has made significant strides in repatriating some of its wildlife taken away during the struggle for independence as it welcomes back 17 mountain bongos, a third generation of the endangered species taken away in the 1960s. The rare animals brought from Florida, United States, arrived in the country at about 9:10 p.m. Sunday night and have been taken to Meru, where they will be quarantined fast as they are slowly reintegrated into the Kenyan ecosystem. According to wildlife experts, the mountain bongos are originally Kenyan, and their existence elsewhere in the world is a testament that they were taken away from here. The 17, once integrated into the ecosystem, are expected to breed and produce a different breed and probably save them from extinction, considering the country has less than 100 mountain bongos. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano says the plan is to see the numbers grow to more than 700 by the year 2050.
The mountain bongo, a species originally only found in Kenya, has suffered untold grief over the decades, from habitat loss to poaching to disease. Mountain bongo numbers have dwindled to alarming proportions, yet even in the face of these travails and difficulties, we have resisted bowing to pressure to let go of these iconic species. And that's why this evening is monumental. To the communities living around the Marania and Mucheene Sanctuary, I assure you that this initiative is not just about wildlife, it is also about you. The success of this project will bring economic opportunities, enhance tourism, and improve livelihoods. This initiative is not just saving a species. Far from it. In essence, it is about restoring ecosystems, empowering communities, and safeguarding our natural heritage for future generations and from generation to generation.
A family from Chemses village, Elgon Ward, Mount Elgon constituency in Bungoma County is crying for justice tonight after their 4.5-acre land was taken by one owner as their journey to seeking justice hits a rock. Roslyn Kimono says her family sought to search for residents in alternative areas following their unrest after the 1992 elections, and when they returned home after peace had been brokered, they were stunned that the brother-in-law had already taken their piece of land. Additionally, the widow with 10 children claims to be harassed by some administrative officials from the area in her journey to finding justice, while the attempt to get to the courts also appears to fail.
Mzee yangu alikuwa naitwa Rafael Osorome. Mwaka wa 92 ilikuwa klasi ya siko. Tukaenda huko chini kitoko, kurudi shemeji yangu ameuza shamba yake. Na mwenye amenunua ni Pelina na Godfrey. Ndiye amenunua hiyo shamba. Na akajumulisha shamba yangu yote eka 4.5. Saa hii mimi nateseka na watoto, nahangaika, hata watoto yangu hawajasoma. Hata watoto yangu hakuna kukula. Kweli hata mimi mzee yangu aliwaachia mimi watoto 10. 3 wamekufa, 7 wako. Saa hii mimi nahangaika. Nateseka na shamba yangu iko. Sasa ukabadilisha namba shamba ya mapu akaenda kwa shamba ya shemeji yangu. Nikashindwa namna nitafanya. Nilienda mara ya kwanza kotini Kimilili. Nikamaliza na shemeji yangu, akakuja akanipea shamba yangu. Alisema aguza shamba yangu, akakuja akanipea shamba. Nikajenga nyumba. Beldina akashika mimi akaniweka ndani. Nikaenda nikalala sel.
Na kila kitu, kesi zote tumetembea. Tumehangaika, tumeuza kila kitu. Pesa tumetumia, tumehangaika, tumetembea kwa miguu tukienda maofisi zote. Ofisi zote tumetembea, haki yetu tunapewa. Tukifika kwa shamba, chifu anatukoroga. Wanaishi kwa kula pesa. Wao hii shamba yetu watu wanaishi kwa kufaidika kwa shamba letu. Wanafaidika kwa kupitia ule mama. Anatumia hongo. Tumenyanyazika, hujuma tumepitia. Tumeumia na tumeumia, tunahitaji haki tafadhali. Mahali tuko kwa hii shamba kuna yule ambaye alipewa achunge. Mchungaji anachunga katika hii shamba. Na huyo mchungaji ndio mwenye kiburi, nikana kwamba ndio mwenye shamba. Na yule alichukua hii shamba haonekani, tukienda kotini kila ofisi, haingii, akiitwa akuji.
Now, to sports, a 23-member squad travelled Monday afternoon for the 2026 African Women Cup of Nations qualifier. Return leg set for Tunisia on Wednesday, having played to a barren draw in the first leg last Friday. The travelling team consists of 2 goalkeepers, Anne Dikundu and Lilian Awor. There is also room for dependable defenders Ruth Ngosi and Dorcas Shikobe, while midfield maestros Corazon Aquino alongside Cynthia Shilwatso are in the mix, and so are attackers Gentrix Shikangwa and Mwanalima Adam. Should Harambee Starlets advance, they will face the winner between Niger and Gambia, bringing them one step closer to securing a spot in the 2026 WAFCON, which could mark their second appearance in the tournament in a decade. All right, ladies, gentlemen, it's 1/2 the hour mark. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope that you are up to date on what is making headlines across the Kenyan borders, within the Kenyan borders. Thank you for watching tonight. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Laura Omondi. From both of us, good night, God bless.